everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Nick and I are here to talk about roads, Maine roads to be specific.
Yes.
And we're talking about this in the context of how much of your money Augusta has taken in the last number of years and not allocated properly. So big picture, we have a Maine state budget that has grown from ballpark $7 billion to now ballpark $12 billion in a very short time frame. This is during Governor Mills' tenure that we've seen the budget balloon by that much. And when you think about that, remember, those are your dollars. This is Maine taxpayer dollars being taken in and spent by Maine government because, as we all know, the government doesn't have any money. But Nick, why don't you tell us what is not being paid for these days with those funds?
Yeah, we recently heard that the Department of Transportation now has to cut up to $400 million in road funding, in road projects, planned maintenance projects that they had. We don't have to tell you that our roads are in rough shape. You drive through downtown Auburn and Lewiston, at least I do, to get here every day. There's no shortage of potholes. These are the sorts of things that Maine Department of Transportation, MaineDOT, is supposed to be fixing. Some of those roads are local. Let's give it where credit where it's due. But some of that goes, some of the state funding goes to local too.
We can tell where some of those local roads are, right? Versus the state roads?
Yeah,
Because the local roads are the paved roads and the state roads are the really
highways,
poor condition
state roads.
roads?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I went to my local town meeting and they upped the road paving budget, by I think it was doubled or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there are serious needs on the roads. We have a lot of roads per capita compared to our other neighbors. There's no doubt about it. But the fact that the state has grown so much in the amount of revenue, taxes from you and I that they take to fund this stuff, to up to $12 billion every 2 years, and the funds for the roads have really stayed flat. Maybe they went up about 10% in that time period. It's just not enough, and especially with the inflation for construction costs and all this stuff. And this is not a surprise.
Yeah.
Every legislature.
I mean, it's kind of
DOT
shocking. Who would think that you have to fix roads in Maine?
blindsided us.
Ugh,
I know.
Never
if
saw that
only
coming.
the Department of Transportation hasn't been raising the alarm about hundreds of millions of dollars they're short year to year to year.
Right.
And so here we are. It's just compounded. This hasn't even gotten better in the time that you've been in the legislature. They've raised this alarm multiple times, and now we're up to $400 million has to be paused. It's unacceptable.
Which means that, as I know it's July now, it's hot, we're not thinking about winter, but as we're creeping towards winter, these are roads that won't be repaired, that are already, some roads having buckling, pothole issues. They're kind of getting band-aided together here and there, but those are roads that are not going to be improved for you to drive on this winter.
This is the time you have to do it.
Yes.
Because you can't do it in the winter. So that's the problem, is that DOT is saying we have to pause all this stuff, and we could actually be having to lay off road crews by August.
So there's plenty of money.
Yeah.
Taxpayers have poured in. They've got empty pockets. Plenty of money. And so what the heck's going on? Priorities, people.
Yeah,
this is an issue of priorities.
Yeah, it's absolutely, because there's no excuse not to move money around if it needs to go there. But the fact is that the legislature has set, the gas tax to fund, the Constitution, right? It's in the Constitution that the highway fund is a protected fund. The legislature doesn't get to raid that fund for whatever they want to do. And then all the gas fuel tax revenue has to go to the highway fund. Great. That's a good thing. We have a dedicated revenue stream for a really important core function of government. The problem is that the gas tax revenue has been pretty flat for 15 years at least.
Yep.
And just recently, the legislature moved a portion of the automobile sales tax to that highway fund. Thankfully, it was the first time the fund has topped $500 million in ever. But so that just shows you that it is an issue of priorities, because the legislature can choose to move money.
We said, okay, we do need more money. Again, majority budgets. So, here's the thing on that front. This is a choice, and I want to be really clear. We are not advocating that we raise the gas tax.
Exactly. It's not
We
necessary.
do not need to raise the gas tax. Maine people are paying enough money, more than enough, too much. We are taxing Maine people too much. Mainers don't need to pour more money into the system, but we do need to prioritize correctly. And the infrastructure, the roads and bridges that Mainers drive on every single day of the year, that should be the priority. That should be a priority before all of the other pet projects that the Democrats have passed over the last number of years. We should be paying for that core infrastructure first. That has always been my stance. Pay for those things that we actually, government is there to do. This is a core responsibility.
It's ironic because the way that they've set up, Governor Mills and Augusta Democrats have set up these budgets. They do the first one with all the stuff that they want. They cram it into one huge one, and that's the one they ram through with a majority. They don't need any Republican votes. And then they come back with the part two, back to basics.
We don't have enough money.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got to fund all these things that are really important, guys. Like, what about the $8 billion that you spent in that last one of all the stuff that wasn't necessarily important? Now they come back and they say, okay, now this is the stuff that we really need you guys to vote on, and it's time sensitive, so you do the 2/3. Of course, you're not going to vote against the core infrastructure. That's the stuff the government should be funding first, and that's the issue, is that we're spending billions first before we get to this stuff.
Absolutely, and I will tell you, Nick, I have never voted for a budget, so
that does not surprise me.
I have.
I can't blame
probably, because there's always terrible stuff stuffed in there
Totally.
as well, right? So even when there was the vote on additional funding for the transportation budget, there was other stuff that I couldn't possibly vote for stuffed in there with it.
All right, it's not all back to basics.
Yeah,
or bare
it's
bones
not.
Like they
the
brand
back to basics is branding. It's not actually true, and so so I've never voted for a budget, but
can't blame you.
It's a good record to have. It's a good
Definitely.
record to have. So, but long story short, the state has plenty of money to fix the roads, but is choosing not to. And that's the bottom line. The state is actively choosing not to fix the roads.
And who does that fall on? It falls on all of us who have to use the roads day in and day out. We don't get to choose to not use the roads, even though the state chose to not fund it.
Right.
And even an independent, the American Society of Civil Engineers reviewed our roads as engineers and graded our bridges at D+. Our bridges are a D+ grade. That's out of A
could be worse.
to F.
It could be worse.
True. It could be
then,
D-
right?
or
D.
F, I guess. Yeah. It's true. It's true. It could be
It
worse.
could always be worse. It's going to get worse.
Probably worse in the country.
Right?
Though.
Will probably be worse next year after winter hits us. This next winter hits, we'll be right at that F.
Yeah. But the American Society of Civil Engineers, they're saying that you and I we spend $575 every year to deal with that. That's a cost on us, is having crappy roads and potholes and everything, and you bear that cost by the wear and tear on your car. And this independent engineer society puts that at around almost $600 a person.
I mean, everyone who, now I realize this is not state road, but everyone who lives in Auburn and goes to Walmart knows that there's like this one spot that will eat your car alive every spring. It is like an abyss, and I'm sure that there are many of those spots around the state. You go driving along and you ka-thunk into one of those, your tire's gone.
Right.
Game over.
So at least that's 600, at least just there.
Yes.
And I think it's just the wear and tear over the year that they, judge this by. Obviously, your results may vary. Your mileage
results
may vary.
may vary. Mileage may vary, all of that. But
yeah.
That's kind of a stark figure. So you're already paying all of your taxes into the state. They're not repairing the roads, which should be a core function that is automatically happening. And so on top of that, the fact that you've paid your taxes to the state, you're now paying an additional $575 for the extra wear and tear on your car because the government didn't use your funds that you paid to the government to fix the roads.
And they're going to tax you more to pay for all the other stuff anyway. But right.
I know we're laughing, joking about this, but you have to either laugh or cry, guys.
That's right.
Those are the two options here.
That's right. Yeah, because it's really angering. It's really unacceptable, the fact that we're one of the most heavily taxed states in the country. We have some of the worst infrastructure grades. We're paying for all of these things all across society, and including our sales tax on automobiles that really should be going 100% to roads. The legislature's only put 40% of that, and that's only happened the last couple of years. So there's really no reason for all of this money that comes through the state in regards to auto sales and auto parts and all these things. Easy choice to move that to the highway fund and guarantee that we actually have road funding. But there's just so many other things to spend it on, apparently, before core infrastructure. And this comes into it. It's priorities. This is the question that we have to ask of Augusta, is how are we prioritizing what people actually need before what they want for politics?
And I gotta say, 40% of that, the sales tax on vehicles going towards this fee, bear in mind, I know this is like the controversial thing that nobody can find a solution for. Electric cars in Maine.
Right.
Electric cars in Maine are not paying into that gas tax, and that means they're not paying their fair share, right? I hear that all the time, fairness towards that upkeep. What is the answer? Well, I'm not going to advocate for a new tax.
Right.
But that sales tax is being paid on those vehicles that could easily be allocated towards road upkeep.
Just priorities.
Priorities. There's plenty of money in the coffers. If somebody tries to tell you we need more taxes to fix the roads, that is not true. Augusta was in a bad habit for a long time and hasn't done that this last couple of years, but this bad habit of not allocating funding for roads and bridges and then bonding. Right? And so that's not an issue at this exact moment. Maybe that's what the legislature will come up for as a solution in the next legislature. Who knows? But it's so manipulative. I will just only briefly touch on that.
Yeah,
since
no,
they're
please.
not bonding
So
right
important.
now.
Yeah.
But think about this. You've paid all your taxes into the state, and then the state spends it, and then they go, oh my gosh, we don't have enough money to fix the roads and bridges. We better borrow it. So we're going to do a bond. No, that is another way that Augusta has previously, during Governor Mills' tenure, manipulated the money to get more from Maine people.
I mean, let's be honest, it's manipulation of the people itself.
Yes.
It's a manipulation of our psyche.
Because Maine people vote for it, and they go,
every
oh my
time.
gosh, of course, we got to fix our roads and bridges.
They don't realize
Naturally.
that $12 billion is going in the door and out the door, and they're not funding this core priority. And it's just like putting food and utilities on your credit card before you actually pay it out of what you have. It's completely
100%.
irresponsible.
Yes. Well, what can we do, Nick? What can we do about this boondoggle?
Well, I would say call your legislator, go to these candidate forums. It's election time right now. Reach out to your local candidates, reach out to your local lawmakers, and ask them to take a pledge to make sure they don't vote for a budget that doesn't fund this stuff first. And make sure that they're out there standing up for it and they're making it a part of their campaign. We all use roads. We all use this stuff. There's really no excuse to not fund it first. And I think that's really what it should be. Augusta should be funding roads and core priorities first, not last, or even worse than last, like bonding.
Not at all.
Right, not at all.
I mean, they're just not doing it at all right now.
We have to push back. We have to speak up. We have to call our lawmakers and talk to our candidates and push them on this to make it a real issue, so that when they come back in January, that's an issue that they're actually going to deal with and not kick down the road again.
Agreed. All right, folks, you heard it here first. There is enough money for roads and bridges. Augusta Democrats just aren't spending it on that. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll try to bring you more hopeful content next time.
Try our best.